Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and in this one I am doing the cover on my most recent completed journal. So some of you might have seen a very edited version of this on Instagram on my reels. This is a much slower version, a little bit more sedate. So I'm starting off putting out the rainbow colours quite close to each other so I can pick them up on my brush, and then just one sweep with the brush to paint those colours down my journal. It's a really pretty way of getting colours onto your page, cover, whatever it is you're doing. And it's a technique that I love to use. So it's something you'll have seen me do lots of times, and I'm doing the front and the back. I generally do when I do my covers, and as you know, I don't do my journal covers until I have finished my journal, and it's kind of like a bit of a finishing off ritual for me in a way. So I had a piece of transparency laying around that had got some of the birds from the Fly High stamp set on from Dina, so I am using those. I'm going to use those up and stamp a couple more on there as well. I'm just using archival ink. It stamps really well onto the transparencies, but it does take quite a while to dry. So if you want one that's a bit quicker, then the stays on ink is a bit faster to dry, and just as good. So I'm popping the stamps onto an acrylic block. That just makes it a little bit easier to get a good impression. Obviously, stamping onto transparency, you do have to be a little bit careful because it's quite slippy, and things can move quite a bit, so you just have to be a little bit careful when you pop it down, that you're not sliding it around, because it won't give you a very good stamped image. Okay, so once they were dry, they got cut out. I think I put it to one side just to leave them alone for a little bit. Yeah, giving it a quick waft with the heat tool, but I literally was moving it about that fast, because if you're not careful with the transparencies, they do buckle under the heat if you keep it in one place for too long. So this is my floating stencil. I'm pretty sure I've got some of these available on my website. This is one from Funky Fossil that I designed, and I'm using magenta through that. So it's going to be quite a colourful cover. I don't think there's much on there to calm this craziness down that you can see happening. And I'm just going to pull that stenciling right the way round onto the back as well. I'm using a blending tool to put the paint through because I want quite an opaque covering of paint as well. And then I'm using my dots and dashes stencil just to bring in a little bit of contrast. So I'm using carnation for this here, sticking with the pinks and bringing in some smaller dots. And again, I'm just pulling that through onto the back of the journal as well. And then this is my dotty stamp, and I'm using some white paint on. I have one for white paint and one for black paint and ink, and this is my white one, so I'm just adding some of those as well. So my dots have gradually got smaller and smaller. I just love the way this dotty stamp works on things like this. It's almost like adding bits of confetti onto your page. Okay, so that stamp gets a good clean as well before putting it away. So now I am cutting out these little birds, and you can see how beautifully they sit on this colourful background. Obviously, one of the lovely things about the transparencies by their name is the fact that you can see through them, so you're not disappearing your background, but you're still getting your focal point on there. So this it works quite well. So I'm going to kind of decide where I want them to be and how many I'm going to put on there. I spend a bit of time just kind of auditioning them and working out which one is going to be best, because the little birds are all flying at different angles. And then to stick them in place, I'm just going to use some of Dina's ultra thick gel medium. It's brilliant for sticking transparencies down. It's a little bit of a sturdier gel medium. Other gel mediums would work, but I have to be honest, so far I've stuck all my transparencies in using this and I've had none of them fall out of my journals. So I would kind of recommend this as the best thing to stick them in with. And also, if you don't put too much on and you give it a good burnish once you've stuck it down, you can't see the gel once it's dry, so it works quite nicely. So then I'm using my Shoot for the Stars text stamp. I'm just adding a little bit of text onto that background as well. And a few white splatters. It wouldn't be finished without a few white splatters, would it? Oh dear. And that's great for bringing that little bit of contrast to the page too. And then I decided I wanted like a little sort of flight trail for the birds, so I'm just doing some sort of like squiggly lines using a Stabilo oil pencil. And create that sense of movement as well. And then I was looking for a quote that would work, so I found this one on the stamp set, which is also from Dina, and I think the quote is all about making art, looking at art, showing art, talking about art. It kind of fits for this art journal. So I stamped it onto some white card and then cut the sentences apart and stuck them onto the cover. And then just to make them stand out, I'm just doing a little border around those phrases. It just kind of makes them stand out from the background a little bit more. And I had my white Posca pen in my hand, so decided I would just scribble some half circles on the edges of the page too. And that was this journal cover completed. I love doing journal covers. I think one of the things I like to do is look at all my completed journals and look at the covers that I've done on them. It's lots of fun. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video and found some inspiration for maybe painting your own bright rainbow coloured journal cover. I hope to see you guys again soon.